A telephone scam dubbed Favorite Grandson targeting elderly residents has resurfaced from spring 2009 over the past month in Palo Alto. A detective from the Financial Crimes Unit at Palo Alto's police department said that although this is something that happens routinely, there has been an increase in the number of cases for grand scams. He explained.
James Reifschneider. I'm a detective, and my duties include financial crimes generally, but more specifically I deal with fraud and identity theft. So the so-called grandson scam essentially consists of a couple of different parts. It begins with usually an older person receiving an unsolicited telephone call. The caller will greet the elder by saying, hi grandma or hi grandpa, this is your favorite grandson or favorite granddaughter, whatever the case may be. And they specifically ask the elder person to wire transfer them that sum of money so that they can take care of whatever the problem is for which they owe money. They'll tell them that they're in some other destination, usually within the United States, but we sometimes hear they'll say they're in Canada.
Because of the nature of the crime, it is difficult to track and locate perpetrators.
So the suspects here have to have a large pool of possible targets or possible victims because it's a hit and miss type operation. There's any number of ways that a suspect can get a list of possible targets, whether it's as old school as using a phone book, or whether it's doing internet searches, or whether it's doing some sort of electronic hacking and getting lists from AARP or other organizations that would track older folks. That allows them to have a targeted list, but when I say a targeted list, still they may have to make hundreds, if not thousands, of these phone calls to different victims or potential victims before they actually match up with a victim that falls for the scam and ultimately sends them money.
Identity theft-related fraud is still the top complaint category in the Federal Trade Commission's list of top consumer frauds, and they estimate that approximately 10 million Americans are victims of this crime each year. A 2006 AARP survey of adults nationwide age 18 and older found that consumers who are age 75 and older tend to be susceptible to unfair or deceptive scams and business practices.
You mentioned that there are no statistics available. Can you talk a little bit about the reasons why people don't report this crime, or why some people prefer not to contact you?
So the reason that statistics in this type of case are very difficult to come by and difficult to accept as being accurate is that these cases are way underreported. And what I mean by that is that most of the time the victims here are elderly by definition in the scam, and most of the time they're embarrassed, just like any other victim. So regardless of age, we often have we find in police work that a certain percentage of victims are embarrassed to have been victimized, and they don't want to admit to their family, to their friends, or to a police officer that they have been victimized.
Given the serious security, financial, and personal losses produced by identity theft, both federal and state policies to protect consumers from this crime have been implemented, such as the security breach notification laws in about 34 states, the Federal Fair and Accurate Transactions Act of 2003, and security freeze legislation in 39 states and the District of Columbia. Detective Refschneider said there are several ways you can avoid becoming a victim of identity theft or a phone scam.
So I encourage everyone to be aware of what type of information about them is publicly available. And oftentimes people are shocked to find what is available right at someone's fingertips with the use of a computer. Most of this information is out there because you chose to put it out there one way or another. Either it's because you belong to a professional type website like LinkedIn, for example, or if you belong to a social networking website like Facebook or MySpace. Any of those require you to put some amount of personal information out there for everyone in the world to see. And oftentimes people just forget that that information is out there, or they don't realize how much of that information is out there.